One of the biggest issues I see at most track and field meets is that a lot of sprinters really don't understand how to come out of blocks correctly and have the right positions that you need to be explosive and to set up the rest of your race. One of the critical factors with setting up the blocks is being able to apply a lot of force and get out quickly, but also come out in the right angles that sets you up for a good max velocity position. And then obviously it's a sprint to 100 meters or 60 meters, not 10. So even though you might not be the first out of the blocks for 10 meters, you're setting up the race for later. So our focus here on acceleration is coming out of the blocks in a good explosive positions and setting ourselves up for later in the race. As we approach the blocks, the first thing I have all of my athletes do is they come into the front of the blocks and they walk themselves backwards. So we feel like we're kind of loading ourselves into the blocks. I'm going to talk to you a lot about angles and what we want to feel in our block setup, and then I'll go back through on how to really set up the pedals of the blocks. So as you can see, when Ezekiel gets into the blocks, his shoulders should be resting right over top of his hands. We don't want to have our shoulders too far in front of our hands because now you can see he can't hold that position. We also don't want to sit back in the blocks because now what's going to happen when our body comes up, go ahead and raise your hips, now we're in too squatted of a position, we're not going to be able to release out of the blocks correctly. So the best position to have your shoulders is to make sure your shoulders are right over top your hands. And now you're in a good flat back position here. The next step we're going to do is we're going to raise our hips up, straight up above. And as you can see, the shoulders are still over top the hands. Go ahead and go back down. What a lot of athletes have a tendency to do is as they raise their hips, they have a tendency to raise their hips and go forward. And now again, they put too much weight over top their hands. And the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to collapse forward and fall forward. And that first step's just going to break and slow them down. So we want to be in a good, restful position, feeling like we're relaxed and we're able to explode out of the blocks. So as Zeke comes up, that back leg, what I want is about 120 to 130 degree angle behind the knee. The front leg will be about a 90 to 100 degree angle behind the front knee. And that's going to set you up to have the correct driving angles that we want to have as we explode out of the blocks. What you should be is approximately 2 steps from the line to the front block pedal. That should give you a good approximation of where that front pedal should be. And then you should go 2 or 3 steps to the back pedal. Okay, so that gives you a good understanding of where the block pedal should be. Notice I didn't go to the front of the blocks because every set of blocks are different. So you might be at a meet where the blocks are set up differently or they have different blocks, and so we want to always focus on the block pedal placement. So as you can see, Zeke's just going to walk off 3 steps to that back pedal. And again, you can always adjust from there. Some pedals have these things in the back that raises the pedal up or down. My preference, and I think most sprinters' preference, is to have the front pedal all the way down, which is actually the 45 degree angle that we want to have as we drive out of the blocks. The back pedal can also be all the way down or slightly up. So it's between a 45 and 55 degree angle of that back foot. If you do that correctly, that's going to allow you to drive out in the good 45 degree angle that we want to have. Now some athletes might need to raise that back pedal up a little bit more just to make sure they have good foot contact. The other way is to come off of the blocks and you just go ahead and get into your 3-point position that we explained earlier. Go into your 3-point position where you feel comfortable and that knee is right behind the elbow. And then what I'm going to do is just walk up and put a little chalk mark behind each foot. And then you're going to take your blocks and set them where that chalk mark is. And that's the second option that you can use to set up your block position, because now you know you're going to be in a good, comfortable position. Go ahead and get back in the blocks. The next thing I want everyone to focus on as they come up into their set position is to dorsiflex this ankle back so you have good foot contact with the block pedal. Go ahead and go back down. A lot of athletes want to come up and keep that heel up, and now you're up on your toes and you don't have that good foot contact. So the first thing that's going to happen when that gun goes off is that foot's going to come back. When you're trying to go this way, when all your other competitors are going forward, you're going backwards. Okay? So we want to make sure we have good dorsiflex position and good contact with that block pedal. Go ahead and come into your set position. So now he's in a good contact position on both the front and the back leg. We're going to really focus on that front leg now as we drive out into our first step. So our majority of our weight is going to be on our hands in that front leg. And this is our fast leg. This is our explosive strong leg. So our strongest leg should be in that front block because it's going to have the longest contact with the block pedal. Go ahead and go down. As Ezekiel comes out of the blocks, the first reaction he's going to have is with his hands. So his hands are going to move before anything in his lower extremity moves at all. So what we want to do with our hands is instead of pulling our hands up off the ground, what we actually want to do is swipe our hands in the direction that we're trying to sprint. So one arm's going forward, the other arm's going back. So the opposite arm to the leg that's in front is going to be driving back as you drive that knee up and forward. Go ahead and show that. So you notice a good arm and shoulder separation as he comes out of the blocks. So as you notice, Zeke has a good flat back position. He's going to raise his hips up. Good angles on that front leg. A lot of force on that front leg. He's going to explode out of the blocks with good arm sweeping motion. Go.